Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we got ourselves another deck tech video featuring some partner commanders of Sakashima of 1,000 Faces and the best partner for, in my opinion, which is a Vial Smasher the Fierce. So the whole idea of this deck is obviously get Vial Smasher out there, get Sakashima out there, and then just start making tons of copies of Vial Smasher and just do damage to face. I mean, that's what we want to do with this deck. I mean, we do have a few other things in here that makes it a little bit of a control-y deck and a little bit of a you're not allowed to play Magic anymore kind of thing. Just kind of like a fun, interactive Grixis deck that I think will be a lot of fun to play. But yeah, we're definitely going to be making a lot of clones. A lot of times we're going to be making a bunch of copies of Vial Smasher, but we're probably going to make some copies of some other things too, and we'll go over that as we look into the deck a little more. All right, so let's start off right away with our creatures in the deck. First off, we have Clever Impersonator. This goes in just about every single clone deck that you can think of. You may have Clever Impersonator enter the battlefield as a copy of any non-land permanent on the battlefield. So not just your own stuff. You can copy anybody's things, non-land permanents. So just a great all-around utility creature card that you can make copies of pretty much anything you want. Fantastic card to go in this deck. All right. Next, we have Sakashima the Imposter. So the old Sakashima lets you make a copy of things and then also be able to bounce it back to your hand in case, you know, you got some mana open, somebody tries to destroy it, and just bounce it back to your hand, cast it again later on. Next, we have Evil Twin. Evil Twin says you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except for it gains pay a blue and a black, tap it, destroy a target creature with the same name as this creature. So not only can you make copies of stuff on the battlefield, but you can also destroy it if you make copies of your opponent's creatures. Really cool. All right, next we have the old Phyrexian Manamorph for 3 and a Phyrexian Blue. And you may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact or creature in the battlefield. So again, making copies of anything or any player's artifacts or creatures, which is really nice. So we can make some copies if somebody's got a really great creature out. I mean, might skip over making a copy of Vial Smasher for that turn and copy something else. Okay, next we have a newer card. We have Glasspool Mimic. All right, and this one is nice because it does have the land on the back. So let's just run a few less lands in here. So if we do need a land in a pinch and it's early in the game, we're probably going to play this as a land. But you can have enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature you control, except for it's a shapeshifter rogue, which we don't really care about. But it's nice to have that dual face card with the land on the back of it. All right. Next we have Phantasmal Image, only 2 mana, which is fantastic. And you may have it enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except for it's an illusion. And when it becomes the target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. All right. Next up we have Dimir Doppelganger. So this has 1 and blue-black. It says remove target creature card in a graveyard from the game. Dimir Doppelganger becomes a copy of that card and gains this ability. So if we got some stuff, some people are trying to play some mill shenanigans or some graveyard strategies, we're just going to take that card out of their graveyard that they really want to get back onto the field and make a copy of it for ourselves. All right. Next, we got Vizier Many Faces, another copy spell, another copy creature, and it does have Embalm, so we can bring it back from the graveyard and copy something again. All right, next we have Spark Double, which is really nice because it comes in with an additional +1/+1 counter on it, and it does not have a legendary. If we copy a legendary creature, it does not have, it skips the legendary rule because it makes it non-legendary, so it's nice to have that in there. Next we have Stunt Double, which is cool because it's got Flash, so it enters the battlefield as any copy of any creature on the battlefield. So if somebody plays something really good, we got the mana open on their turn, we'll pop this down. What's great about this is having Flash too. When we have Vial Smasher says whenever you cast a first spell on any turn, then it deals damage to opponent or at random. So we'll be rolling dice on other people's turns because we're probably going to flash this guy in on somebody else's turn and do some damage that way. Next, we have good old Mirror Image. Enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. Perfect. And the classic, we have just the straight up clone. Copying a creature, any creature on the battlefield for 4 mana. All right. So those are our copy creatures. We do have a few other ones. And again, this is where we get into a little bit of control-ish aspects. First off, we have new-ish card from Commander Legends. We got Opposition Agent. It's got Flash. And You control your opponents while they're searching your library. So while an opponent's searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled. All right. So we're going to flash this in. If somebody starts searching for a card, that's when we're going to try and get this thing flashed in and steal the cards out of their decks and play what we want from them. Really cool. Really fun. All right. Next, we have Hull Breacher and another flash card. And this is probably one of the dirtiest cards in Commander these days. But it looks like a lot of fun to play. I've not played this card in person yet, and I'm really hoping to get a chance to do that soon. If an opponent would draw a card except for the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, instead, you create a treasure token. So if somebody's trying to draw a bunch of cards, I'm sorry, I'm getting treasure tokens instead. And this is going to be important later on because we are going to look at a few wheel effects. I don't have Wheel of Fortune because I don't have the kind of money to spend on that card, but we do have some wheel effects in here that we're going to try and abuse this and basically say you're not drawing any more cards in your game, and if you do, if you even try, I'm going to get treasure tokens. So a lot of times those cards are just going to be dead in their hands until they kill this thing. All right. Next, some more control. We have Notion Thief, and it also has flash. And if an opponent would draw a card, except for the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, instead, that player skips that draw and you draw a card. So if you want to draw a card that's not like your first in your draw step, I'm going to draw one instead. A lot of fun there. All right. Really great card in this deck because all the artifacts that are played in EDH, Dockside Extortionist has quickly become one of the best cards in red in Commander. And if we can start making copies of this guy, we are going to make a lot of treasure tokens, and we're going to have a lot of mana. So Dockside Extortionist is going to be really important and really great in this deck. All right. Next, a few utility creatures. We have Obosh, the Prey Piercer. This is just going to add some extra damage. If source control with an odd converted cost would deal damage to a permanent or a player, it deals double that damage instead. Guess what has an odd converted mana cost? Vial Smasher does. 3 mana. So this is going to double all the damage that Vial Smasher does if we have this out at the same time. Plus, with all the tokens out that we're going to, or copies we're going to make of Vial Smasher, it's going to be doing some big time damage. All right, so we got a little bit of card draw in here. We got a lot of card draw cards in here that's going to help us out to get through our deck. At the beginning of each instant, if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, you may draw a card. All right, so we're going to be doing some damage with Vial Smasher, and we're probably going to be doing some on the opponent's turns too. So we're going to be drawing cards on other opponents' turns. So really great card here. I never even heard of this card until the Commander deck came out with this in there, and I was like, wow, that's really good. So I had to put that in there for 2 mana. Not bad at all. All right. Next, we have Agent of Treachery, just for some shenanigans or for some fun, taking some other people's permanents and then making copies of Agent of Treachery. We start making copies, we start stealing more stuff, and then if we have 3 or more permanents that we don't own, we get to draw 3 cards. So more card draw, more shenanigans, taking other people's things, playing other people's cards. A lot of fun. Next, we have Runescarred Demon. This is another one that I wouldn't be too ashamed to make copies of either. Enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, put in your hand, and shuffle your library. So we get a 6/6 flyer, and we get a tutor all in one card. So I would not hesitate to make copies of that card either. Then we have Solemn Simulacrum for some card draw. All right, next, the 3 cards that came from the Accordia Commander decks that are basically free if you have your commander on the battlefield. Really awesome because they had the converted mana cost is 3. So even if we pay nothing for these spells and Vial Smasher's on the battlefield, we're going to be doing 3 damage, even though we're not paying any mana for it, which is pretty legit. So we got Deflecting Swat, we got Deadly Rollick, which is a sorcery, or no, it's an instant, I'm sorry, I thought that was a sorcery for some reason. Deadly Rollick, get rid of some creatures, and we're getting into our counter spells. We have Fierce Guardianship. Now, for other counter spells, we do have some cheaper ones, but this Arcane Denial, it's got some card draw in there, so we'll put that in as well. We got the old Negate, which is just basically good in any blue commander deck. I should probably just run Negate, a 2 mana counter spell for non-creature spells, pretty good. And then we have good old counter spell. And then we have Mystic Confluence, which is a little bit higher casting cost, but you get to choose 3 of these, and you can choose one of the modes more than once, plus the 5 for playing this on somebody else's turn. Even on one of our own turns, if we have the mana open still, it's going to do 5 damage from Vial Smasher. All right. So you can counter target spell, return a creature to your hand, and draw cards. You can pick all 3 of those if you wanted to. Really nice. All right. We got another tutor here. We got Vampiric Tutor. Don't know what Vampiric Tutor does. Few removal spells. We have Bedevil to get rid of artifacts, creatures, or planeswalkers that we might come across. I don't have a whole lot of targeted removal in this deck. I think that's something that I need to figure out and add a little bit more to. So if you have any suggestions, leave me down in the comments, like what kind of more removal, instant removal that I should get to put in this deck that I haven't really thought of. Next thing we have is Terminate. So destroy target creature. Can't be generated for 2 mana. Pretty good. Alright, so then we got another copy spell here. We have Crackling Counterpart. So you can put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of a creature control, and it has flashback, which is nice. So we can always pay that flashback cost and make some more copies. To have Brainstorm to draw some cards. 1 card at least. Scheming Symmetry. A lot of fun with Opposition Agent. So we play this and then flash in Opposition Agent and the Salty Tears arrive. So we like that for 1 mana in this deck. And then we have Demonic Tutor, also to search up something from our library. Grim Tutor, so we have 3 different tutors in here to help us find what we need. We do have Treasure Cruise now. This has Delve in it, which is really great because it costs 8 mana, so I can do 8 damage with this thing. But we do have like a lot of instants and sorceries that are going to be filling up our graveyard, so we don't mind exiling those if we need to draw 3 cards and get this down as cheap as we can possibly get and deal 8 damage, if not more, with Vial Smasher if we have some of those damage doublers. More card draw. We have Ancestral Vision, so spend 4 for 1 blue, draw 3 cards after 4 turns. All right. And then we have Stolen Identity, make some copies of stuff. Clone Legion, make lots of copies of stuff. It's 9 mana, costs a lot, but if we can get this out and make tons of copies of stuff, we're going to be doing good, alright? So for each creature target player controls, put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that creature. Wow, that's a cool card. Alright, next we have, of course, Rite of Replication. Put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of a target creature. If it was kicked, put 5 of those tokens onto the battlefield instead. Wowzers, that's going to be pretty cool if you can get that kick version out there and make that many Vial Smashers. Oof, that way. And you got to remember when you do this too, you have to target Sakashima, who is a copy of Vial Smasher. Otherwise, it will not work properly. So you have to be able to do that so you get that non-legendary rule. But we do have a card in here that can give us a little way around that. And we'll get to that here in a second. Next, we have Quasi-Duplicate, which we can create a token of a creature we control, and it has Jumpstart, so we can discard a card and play it again. We do have a couple board wipes in here with Inguruk's Wake for 9 mana. Alright, and we have Blasphemous Act. I do need to get a Damnation to put in here. I know that's something that I need to put in. Possibly the Seth McKinnon one I just got. Maybe I'll put that in here. I don't know. But if I can get another copy when they become pretty cheap from Time Spiral coming out soon, I'll probably put that in here. Alright, next we have Reanimate. So if we need to destroy somebody else's creature and then bring it back under our side, or if one of our guys goes down to the graveyard, we can get them back for 1 mana. Alright, another double-sided card. We have Agadeem's Awakening, so we can return from your graveyard, so get another recursion card here, just like Reanimate. But this one, return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each have a different converted mana cost, X or less. Alright, so good recursion there. And then we have our Wheel cards. Now, again, I don't have Wheel of Fortune. Probably never going to have that card the way the prices of it are going up. But I do have some, and so I put those in here because, like, this one, you get to choose 2 for Incendiary Command. Deals 4 damage to target player, or deals 2 damage to each creature, or destroy target non-basic land, or each player discards all the cards in their hands and draws that many cards. So I do like these wheel effects with Hull Breacher on the battlefield. Really nice. One of my favorite artworks from a card. I love Therese Nielsen, one of my favorite artists. I don't care what her political beliefs are. Her art's cool. That's all that matters. Each player shuffles their hand and graveyard into the library, then draws 7 cards. The important thing about this, it does have that flashback cost for 3, so that you can play this again later on. So if you just need to do this early in the game and I don't have Hull Breacher out, and then I at some point do get Hull Breacher out, then I can play this for its flashback cost and then shut people out of the game basically, because they're going to discard their hands and draw no cards, and I'm going to get treasure tokens, which is pretty gross. All right. Same thing with Windfall here. Windfall, do the same thing. Each player discards their hand and then draws cards equal to the greatest number of cards a player discarded. Again, if we have Hull Breacher out, I'm sorry, you're not going to want to play anymore. All right, next we have Heuristic Study for some card draw. Phyrexian Arena for some more card draw. And then we have Curiosity for some more card draw. Whenever an enchanted creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. Obviously, we're going to try and put this on Vial Smasher or one of our copies of him, or of her, I guess. I guess Vial Smasher's a girl, right? Yeah, I think she's a girl. And yeah, so we're going to put that on there. It's going to deal damage. We're going to draw cards with that. All right, next are enchantments. We have Mirror Maid. Worse, strictly worse copy artifact, I guess. So it comes in the battlefield as a copy of artifact or enchantment. Always good because you can copy somebody else's stuff. Next we have Fiery Emancipation. So just a big time card here. 6 mana and it costs 3 red and 3 generic. So it's kind of like a difficult casting cost, but still really cool. If a source you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. If we have this out in Vial Smasher and we're casting some of our bigger spells, I mean, we're gonna kill somebody pretty quick. All right, let's get on to our artifacts. We have, for our ramp, we have Soul Ring. We have Arcane Signet. We have Felwar Stone. Thought Vessel, because we do hope to be drawing a lot of cards, so it's nice to have no maximum hand size, or minimum hand size. Maximum hand size, God, I'm not thinking today. All right. Talisman of Creativity. Talisman of Indulgence. I like the talismans. I just like the idea that early in the game you can pay 1 life to get the colors you need, get that mana fixing for only like a 2 mana artifact. And then later in the game when you don't need to have that mana fixing, then you can just add 1 colorless. I just like that. I prefer that over the signets personally, but that's just me. All right, then we have Talisman of Dominance as well. And then we have Mirror Gallery. Now, there is a little bit of redundancy with this as far as like having this in the deck with Sakashima, but it's the idea that if we are going to start copying some other legendary creatures that we might have, or that we have stolen from our opponents, or that we have copied some of their legendary creatures that they have in the battlefield, and we want to make more copies of that, Mirror Gallery is going to be nice to have out, because then we can have multiple copies of it on the battlefield. All right. Next, we have Lightning Greaves to protect our commanders. And then we have Helm of the Host, our last card besides our lands. All right. So Helm of the Host is really awesome because we just get to attach this to our commander and just start making copies of it during our combat phase. So making those copies, they gain haste, really cool. Just start making tons of copies of Vial Smasher and it'll just be kind of busted. All right, so that's the deck there. We can go through our mana base fairly quickly. We do have a good combination of cards in here. It's 3 colors, so we can get some good stuff going on here. Fix our mana pretty well, I think. So we got Steam Vents, Sulphur Falls, Training Center, Cascade Bluffs, Shivan Reef, River Glide Pathway, which does have the red pathway on the back. That's what we got for the blue and red. Then we have Blood Crypt, Dragon Skull Summit, Luxury Suite, and Blightstep Pathway. So we are running a lot of blue in this deck, so we don't have as many different variations of the red and black cards just because we don't need them as much. We are running mostly blue, so that's going to be the most important color here. We do have some stuff that costs like double black, so we do need to have like a good amount of black in there. So we have Morphic Pool, Underground River, Drowned Catacomb, Watery Grave, Sunken Ruins, and the Clearwater Pathway, and the black pathway in the back that I can't think of the name of. All right, we do have Reliquary Tower, because again, we're hoping to draw lots of cards. Got a couple, or just 1 fetch, I think. We could probably put some, I think I do have the red and black and the black and blue fetches available that I could put in here that I just didn't even think about. I put this deck together with cards that I just have, and I know I can make some changes in here. I'll talk about that in a second here, but yeah, I just kind of put this together real fast because I thought it'd be a fun deck to make. So, Fable Passage, Exotic Orchard, Command Tower, and I do like these Tainted Lands because we do have a pretty decent amount of swamps in here, so I think a lot of times these will be coming in untapped, or if they come in early, we're not going to worry about it too much. If it's like in our opening hand, we can play right away. So we have Tainted Peak and Tainted Isle. So if we have a swamp, then these will tap for either color. This one you can tap for red or black, or this one you can tap for blue or black. All right. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 islands, 4 swamps, and 3 mountains. I think that's a total of 33 lands, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and check, maybe 34. But we do have those double-sided cards in there that can come in as lands as well. So that's the entire deck. I know there are some things like I need to put in here, like Dig Through Time is one I need to get. I do want to get a Dex duplicate to put in here. And I don't know, I think that might be the only things I can think of off the top of my head. Oh, the other one was the Epiphany one. What is it called? I don't know. It's the one from M21. But it's a 6 mana and it's got like the multiple modes that you can pick. What is it called? I don't know. I can't remember at the top of my head. Maybe you can remind me down in the comments what it's called, but I thought for sure I had one somewhere, but I could not find it anywhere in my collection, but I do have cards kind of scattered all over the place. So down in the comments, let me know. I think I have just a few too many sorceries in this deck, and I need to get some more instants in here. So tell me what you think of the sorceries I could take out and what instants I could put in and what you think would go well in this deck. So that's what we have so far. Always up for some suggestions to make some changes. Again, Sakashima making copies of Vial Smasher, making even more copies, doing damage to face, doing a little control action in there, doing some wheels. It seems like it'll be a pretty fun deck. Oh, that's the other card I want to get, the wheel that's kind of like Wheel of Fortune, but it's a suspend one. Got to get that one too. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head either. So again, let me know what you think down in the comments. You think this deck would be fun? I think it will be. What would you make? What changes would you make to it? What do you think I could do for to fix my instance a little bit? Let me know down there in the comments. And thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and let me know what you think.